I have been seeing constant, like I have multiple videos on this, but we'll do another video again. That's fine. I'm okay with doing that. Asking how to install Arch Linux on laptop, how to install Arch Linux on from Windows, how to install Arch Linux with Arch install. Oh, good Lord, give me. The eggs are coming back to fight me. It's early in the morning. Regardless, I keep seeing how to install Arch Linux, and I'm just going to do a video on how to install Arch Linux from inside of Windows. We're inside of Windows 10 right here. You can do it from Windows 11. It doesn't really matter. Let's get one thing straight, though. It does not matter what operating system you use. I am agnostic when it comes to that, and I used to care a little bit more, and I've been having to use Windows lately because I've made some changes to the channel, and like realizing, like, you know, there's value to all of them. So if for some reason you feel like there's like a need to be like, you know, if you want to be like an elite computer user, you have to use Linux. No. Also, if you think Arch Linux is like the hardest thing out there, and it's like Arch Linux is easy as shit. It's easy. It's there's no problem. So like, I just don't. I'm not in the mood for gatekeeping in any direction. If you don't like that, go find somebody else. I'm sure there's plenty of people that think that, you know, something's complicated. Let's do a quick overview though. Linux itself is not the, like, Arch itself is not Linux. Arch runs on top of Linux, which Linux is the kernel. So let's just kind of have that understanding. Linux itself is actually just the underlying system. What we're looking at when it comes to something like Arch Linux or Debian Linux or Ubuntu or Gentoo or Fedora, what we're talking about is distros or distributions. These are curated Linux bundles of like information that are bundled with the Linux kernel plus software and other different, you know, software suites. So what makes Arch Linux so cool? A lot of people like to say the AUR, but a lot of other people go off at the same breath and say, you know, hey, if you use AUR only, you're gonna wind up breaking everything. And there's just a lot of just bullcrap inside the Linux community. So if you're looking into doing this, just know a lot of people's opinions, including mine, are not worth listening to. You need to go out and experience and Google and ask questions and try things yourself. So we're going to want to open up our favorite web browser, Microsoft Edge. Everybody loves Microsoft Edge. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to google.com. Because I don't want to be on Microsoft's website. All right, and then we're going to go to rufus.ie. It's almost like I give this example enough to where it wants to autofill. We're going to scroll all the way down to the bottom, and we're going to grab this exe right here at the top. Do not select the portable option with the P. We want the standard Windows install. You'll have to click the X on the advertisement to move forward, and that's just part of the game. All right, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go to archlinux.org. All right, we're going to go on the right hand side here and go to download. And now I'm personally a fan of using torrents. The internet hates that. We're going to do Control and F. We're going to type in kernel. And that's going to take us straight down to kernel.org. This is just where I grab it from every single time for myself. Doesn't matter what state I'm in, I just always get it from there. We'll see that the file is extremely small at 1 gigabyte in size. We're going to go for the first one here. It's going to be a different number for you by the time you do an install likely. This one's for October of 2025. Okay, there we go. Now we're done with that. Now, the next thing we're going to need is our trusty USB. This friend is going to be our best friend. Let's go ahead and plug it in real quick. All right, so we've got that plugged on in. And what we're going to do is we're going to come over here real quick. And we're going to type in disk. And it's going to do create and format hard disk partition. All right. Now what we're going to do is we're going to expand this puppy out just a little bit. There we go. and we will see that we have our regular drive. We have the drive that we're going to be installing our Arch Linux onto, because we're going to dual boot this. We're not diving head first. So you are going to need a second hard drive. Sorry if I forgot to mention that at the start of this. And then we're going to go ahead and have our drive that we're going to put the USB installer onto. This is really easy. You don't even need 30 gigs. You can get away with like a 2 gig USB. But they don't make those anymore in a size that matters, I guess. I don't know. But what we're here for is something really simple. If we go here to properties, right? And then we go to details. We can say that this is the SK Hynix, right? PC401, okay? And then we're going to right click on the other drive and we go to details. It's also in general here. Here we go. And this is WDC PC SN730. We're going to want to remember this type of information. This right here is our main drive. This is our Windows installation. We don't want to lose our Windows installation because we're just trying out Linux. We're getting a little bit comfortable. And I don't want to rip you away from what you're familiar with. We're going to know that this is the SK Hynix drive, and this here is the WDC, which is the Western Digital drive, as is our USB. All right. So we know that information. Write it down if you have to. Make sure that you're making backups. You can't come back from deleting stuff like this. It's over once you click the button and it's gone. So make sure we're making backups. Make sure we know what we're doing. I would teach people how to do a dual boot on the same disk, but that does have a lot of problems, like a lot of them. And with Arch doing just a basic install, when we're looking for how to use Arch installer, you're probably not ready for the partitioning side of things with that. So we're gonna go work with what we're comfortable with, what we're used to, some simple ideas. All right, now we're gonna open up File Explorer. We're gonna go to Downloads. We're gonna go over here to Rufus and double click that. Click Yes. And then we're going to find our USB drive. Right here it says no label D, 32 gigs. ISO disk or ISO image mode is fine. We're going to select Arch Installer. Literally click select and then select Arch Installer from your download section. You can name this whatever you want. And we're going to go ahead and click Start. Write in ISO image mode. All right. That's what we're going to do it in. And then this is just understanding that, you know, Sys Linux is not compatible with one another. But just proceed. We're not really concerned about it. And then this says that it's going to destroy all the information that's on this USB. So if you had anything that you wanted, when you click OK, it's gone. You should have made that backup when I warned you about it earlier. Click OK, and this is going to run. I'll give you an idea of how long it takes to actually create in just a moment. All right, that's simple, easy, done. That's it. That was all that we needed to actually do. All right. Now what we're going to do is we're going to try something. It doesn't always work. If it doesn't work, that's fine. I'll have a thing above me that shows what the buttons are to click to get into the boot menu select mode. We're going to come down here to power. We're going to go ahead and hold left shift, and we're going to go ahead and click restart, and we're going to keep holding left shift. All right, that should bring us into a menu that allows for us to boot directly into the USB drive. Doesn't always work. On my keyboard, it's going to be F12 because I have a Asus motherboard. So if you have one of those, when you just reboot the computer itself, spam F12 on the MSI motherboard or Aorus board that I have. You're just going to spam F12. Oh, wait, no, on F9 for Asus. For the Aorus, it's F12. But there's going to be a thing right up here that shows what the boot menu keys are. So USB device, it says Ubuntu. All right, so since that didn't work, we're going to go ahead and we're here. We're going to do this UEFI Samsung flash drive. All right, now Arch Linux install medium. Not medium as in like size, like medium as in like it's the media, right? Arch Linux install with speech. We're going to just do the Arch Linux install medium. Just the standard, regular, bog standard, normal one, right? Real easy. Let's let this run through. It's going to put everything inside of the RAM so this way it can function. We'll be back when that is done. All right, so if you have hardline, you're gonna have no problems. This portion, this step is real easy if you're just plugged directly into your internet. If you have Wi-Fi, that's a whole nother story. I'll go ahead and link someone down below or some little pin thingy somewhere that links to somebody that shows how to set up the Wi-Fi installer. I don't use Wi-Fi, just speed and performance. I have a desktop. So I just haven't had a need to show how to do this. So we're going to go ahead from here though and type in Arch install. You will need internet though for this process. Just the word Arch install, all one word. Let that run. And here we are. Let me make this a little bit bigger. That should be better. All right, so the options we have. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at the languages. We have Arch install in English. That 100% just talks about how much of each language it's in, is available. So that's not 100% English itself. Locals, which is going to go over keyboard, mirrors and repositories. This is going to be mirrors and repositories. We'll explain that. Disk configuration, boot, swap, your bootloader, your kernel, host file name, authentication, which is going to be like, we're going to go down this line. It's going to be real easy. Mirrors and repositories. Select region. All right. And I'm going to go ahead and type up on my keyboard until I get United States. Optional repositories. We want multi-lib because we want to be able to do things like play video games on Steam. And that's it. That's all that we're adding. Disk configuration, partitioning, use best effort. Now, this is the part that's really, really important. Remember beforehand, we had the SK Hynix and the Western Digital Drive, the WDC. This is the time where this is important. If for some reason you don't remember which one you're looking at and you didn't write it down, just restart. It's better to do it that way. Otherwise, unlikely that you have two complete Microsoft system reserves partitions and basic data partitions and NTFS file systems. So if that's what you're seeing, which is what we're seeing here, that's probably not where we're wanting to install if we're dual booting. So, and then we're going to go ahead and look at a few options that we have here when it comes down to the file system options. So we have ext4, which is the basic there we go. We have ext4 which is just kind of default. It's reliable, it's well supported, and it works for most users. Like it's been around for a hot minute, right? ext2 and ext, like we're on revision 4. Then we have BTRFS or ButterFS. This allows for snapshots, data integrity, more advanced features where it comes down to backing up and everything. And then we have XFS or XFS. I don't know. I couldn't come up with anything. ButterFS is just, it's such nice. Good for large files. Sometimes it's used with workstations, but for the most part, it's just a server. It does have encryption options and a bunch of stuff that we really honestly don't need to really be concerned with. In this scenario, I'm just going to go with ext4. All right. Would you like to create a separate home partition? Partition for home. Now, home is like your personal files and everything. I go with yes, we can do that, or we can go with no. If we go with yes, then if we ever have a system issue, we can rebuild the system and not affect the home folder with all of your personal data. That's one of the reasons why I go with that as an option. Disk encryption. I'm not going to touch that. We're not going to play with that. There's no reason that you need to play with disk encryption. If you need disk encryption, you should not be following my dumbass on how to do stuff like that. All right. Swap space. It says swap on ZRAM enabled. We're going to leave that alone. We don't want to touch that. Bootloader. We're going to go with Grub. I'm personally a massive fan of Grub. System deboot is great, but I'm gonna go with Grub. All right. Authentication. This is your user account. It's been moved to a thing called authentication. So root password, you don't need to play with that. User account, add user. We're going to go with MoyDee. And my password is going to be 1234. It's super secure. And yes, we want to give super user or sudo privileges to the MoyDee account. What that allows is you have your profile, right? And your profile doesn't do anything with the system, right? So installing applications, it doesn't handle that. What super user does is it's super user do, sudo, right? Sudo, right? What that does is it says to the super user, the root, which we're not setting a password for because we don't need to be operating inside of that. What it does is it says, hey, I want to install this application, sudo, right? Root, will you do me a favor and install it for me? The root system will go off and be like, yeah, that's perfectly fine. I'll go ahead and install that. It's not like gatekeeping. It's just a security measure. It has its downsides. Everything has their downsides. Windows has their downsides. Mac OS has its downsides. There's downsides to sudo. We can cover that maybe one day. All right. And then confirm and exit and back. Profile. Now, profile is talking about the desktop environment. I'm going to go ahead and recommend for desktop environments that you use KDE Plasma. It is extremely heavy. I do understand that it might not be great for older machines. But with KDE Plasma, it's very similar to a Windows-like experience. And if you're coming from Windows, there's a good chance that you might enjoy that. You can look at the other options. We're going to go with the KDE today. Press enter. Graphics drivers. Now, I have an AMD card inside of this system. If you have an NVIDIA card, it becomes a little bit more of a thing. I will show how to do NVIDIA shortly. I'm working on grabbing that NVIDIA card that I need, and so we'll go into videos showing how to do NVIDIA here directly. If you're using AMD, you want to go with AMD. We're set there. Greeters, we can leave it as SDDM. There's no need to worry about anything else. Applications, Bluetooth, yeah. If you have Bluetooth, enable that. Audio, we're going to go with pipe wire for our audio package. Click back. All right, kernels. This is where it gets a little bit of fun. Linux, just the standard, bog standard, nothing modified, the way that it is meant to be used, straight out of the box, just regular Linux. Then we have hardened Linux, which is more for the security-minded people. Those are going to be people that are also wanting to encrypt their drive, things like that. By using hardened Linux does not automatically mean that your drive gets encrypted. I'm just saying that that's going to be inside of that wheelhouse. We have long-term support, or LTS. So these are going to be long-term support kernels. It's not going to be the most up-to-date, constant, and then that evolves over time. And then we have Zen, which is more focused on like kind of streamlined users, people that are just kind of doing like word processing or things like that. I don't want it to sound bad. Regardless, we're doing just the regular Linux. Network configuration, we're using KDE, so we're going to use the network manager, right? This is a graphical user environment that allows for us to have, network plugins. Additional packages we're not really concerned about. And time zone, I am going to go all the way up here to US Eastern because I'm in Eastern time. That's it. It's easy. It's pretty painless. We go ahead and click OK on install. We click enter for yes. And then we just let the system install. It's pretty painless. It's pretty easy. This isn't that hard. You probably didn't even need a video. You're smart enough to be able to figure this out. Just read the instructions. It's not that hard. But at the same time, I get it. It can be scary. Let's make sure that we're doing things right. So here we are. So it's going to go through. It's going to do this whole waiting for key rings to sync. You're going to leave this alone. You don't want to touch it. Get yourself, like a nice Starbucks or something like that, Chai latte. It's fantastic. God, I love it. Oh, it even says to enjoy. Ah, fantastic. Okay. But by the time you get a little bit of coffee in your system and you're ready to watch the magic happen, it should be done syncing the key rings. And you'll start seeing some stuff blur down the screen, all nice and happy, hacker-like looking stuff. This can take a little bit. I'm leaving this here. I'm doing this. We're talking over this because realistically, I keep getting a lot of questions like, how long did it take for this portion? It can take a minute. You're just going to have to wait. It'll be fine. You'll survive. I hope that you're having a great day, though. Like, I'm really enjoying this. Do you like my... my little like slight glow of green? Oh, hey, there we go. We can move on. It's going to do this whole process. You're just going to wait and we'll be right back once this is done. Oh, real quick. We've got this whole possible missing firmware thing that's right there, right? In the yellow. You probably had seen a few of those and then that one pops up and it might look a little bit scary. Don't worry about that. There's nothing to worry about. It's possible that it's missing. A lot of it's relevant to like servers and stuff like that. It's not relevant to your particular computer. Everything will be fine. Just ignore that for right now. That's it. Arch install exit. Like that's the option. You can exit the Arch install, reboot system, or chroot installation for post installation configuration. We don't really need to do that. We're going to do everything inside of the GUI. So, or GUI. I know some people don't like hearing GUI. It's kind of like hearing moist. All right, reboot system. This whole process took about 15 minutes or so. So it wasn't too bad. I'm going to go ahead and spam my F8 button, but you can go ahead and spam whatever button you're looking at right now because it's probably going to throw you directly into the Windows Boot Manager. See how that's the first boot option here. So we're going to go ahead and scroll down to UEFI OS. All right, that's just the grub bootloader. We'll just click enter there. And now this is going to load the Linux system. I'm just going to check the file system, make sure everything's working. It's a relatively fast and easy process there. All right, we're going to go ahead and enter our password. So ignore any graphical glitches that you might see. Those are really just my capture card. It has nothing to do with the actual system itself. So we're gonna go ahead and click next. This will explain some stuff that we can go through at a later date. But this is it. Here we are. We're in our Linux installation. First things first, we're gonna go ahead and do Control Alt and T, and then we're gonna learn our first command: sudo pacman -syu, capital SYU. This is our update. It's just going to run through and check, make sure everything's up to date. Now, because of the nature of how Arch Linux is installed, it's of course going to be up to date. I'd be surprised if it actually wasn't up to date because, you know, unless there was an update that literally went out from the time of installing the operating system and rebooting to being here now, because it's a rolling release. So everything is downloaded directly from whatever repos, whatever servers they're supposed to be on, and compiled and built right then. So you have the most up-to-date system, which is one of those things that's a little bit nicer over the top of something like other distros that aren't rolling release or like Windows, right? So first things second or the funny time, something like that. We're going to go ahead and install Steam. Now I'm a gamer, so that's something that's important to me. We're going to go ahead and learn how to use this terminal. Again, sudo super user do pacman, which is the package manager, -S Steam. This is really easy stuff. Now, here we are. We are in. We've got this fun little thing right here. Let me see if I can full screen it, and we're gonna control and make it big. Make it big, number one. Okay, there we go. So we have NVIDIA utils, Vulkan Asahi. We have Vulkan Intel. We are looking for Vulkan Radeon, which is going to be option number 8. Okay. And then we're going to go ahead and press Y for yes. And we're going to let that install. This is really, honestly, it's simple. This is easy stuff. You can absolutely do it. And there we go. That is Steam. Next thing we're going to do is we're gamers. So sudo pacman -S and Discord. Okay. Press Y for yes. And we're set. We're going to install Discord. We We don't have to go into websites. It's already done. We already have Discord installed. Last thing we're going to do, because I'm going to show you some other stuff, is we're going to do sudo pacman hyphen capital S flatpak, P-A-K, F-L-A-T-P-A-K. All right. And we're going to install flatpak. Now that's going to be important because I'm going to show you a few other little things. Some secrets that make a lot of people that use Linux very, very mad when I suggest this. And it's perfectly fine. It's your computer. Go ahead and use it. I'm going to show you something, though. With Flatpaks, now this is a secret, okay? They run their own little containers, right? It's its own little program, right? Inside of its own little virtual machine type environment, right? And it has all of the software and all of the drivers and plugins and everything that it needs to work, right? I'm just saying this on like a very low level, so this way, you know, the average user can kind of understand the idea, right? It's got all of the information that's needed for it to work inside of this tiny little package, right? And sure, there's some things that are doubled up, right? The system already has some of the libraries and information or DLL type files, right? That, you know, it would have, but it's not going to hurt you. It weighs almost nothing. Like, we're talking kilobits in size, and you can find the way to do this because it's got great options, right? You don't have to use the terminal. It's magical. It's right here. It's called Discover. It's built into KDE. The only thing that you need is the Flatpak for having, you know, access to the packages, Flatpaks, right? And we're going to go over here and we're going to go ahead and type in Google Chrome. This is the way that I recommend installing Google Chrome because it has everything inside of its own nice little container that doesn't have access to your system. This is the beauty of Linux. You have customization. You could go ahead and download the actual just regular standard install from the AUR and go through that and add libraries or add repositories, so this way you can do that. This right here, real nice and easy. The reason why we're doing Steam specifically through the terminal is because Flatpaks, again, are in their own little containers. They're locked up. So you would need to have another Flatpak called Flatseal, right, to manage these, and it gets a little cumbersome, right? So for applications like Discord or Google Chrome, I'm fine with using a Flatpak. And it wants to take us to Discover. Well, that's because the first time that you set up these types of things with like Flatpaks, you're gonna have to log out, right? Now you can do this before you grab Google Chrome or after, or whatever application you decide to use. You're gonna have to log out because it needs to actually get added to the system. So now we'll see right here, we're created immediately with Google Chrome, and Flatseal shows up as an application that's installed. You don't have to do that a second time. So if we come over here to VLC and we install this from FlatHub, VLC is a fantastic media player. If you have a Mac, Windows, or Linux machine, even an Android phone, VLC is right there, and it's one of your best friends. It supports a lot of codecs. It's great. But you'll notice that if we type in VLC, the logo doesn't show up, but it's right there. So we're good to go. All right, so if we go Steam settings and then we scroll down to compatibility, we'll see right here there's this compatibility tool. This is how Steam Play works, right? It's using Proton, which is not an emulation, it's actually a translation layer. So in Windows, a command means this, so the game knows how to work. In Linux, those like files don't really exist, right? And so what we do is we've built files that do the same thing, but they don't really talk to each other the same way. So what we've done is we've built a compatibility layer that the game goes off and says, hey, I need this. And the compatibility layer goes, absolutely, here it is. But it's a completely different file, but it does the same function. And so then the game's happy. I like to go in and get off of the experimental side of things. So we're going to go ahead and restart Steam. I accidentally clicked no. Exit Steam. And then when we start back up Steam, everything will automatically be installing directly as, you know, Proton 9, at least for that side of it. I don't like to be on the experimental branch. I found that there's a few games that I have myself that don't like it. So I try to stay within the stable releases of the compatibility layer. Alrighty. Updates required. I don't know what we're updating. Oh, it's going to try and stream from my computer, from my desktop. Okay. So let's find a quick, easy game to download. And this computer, we're going to go ahead and install Lethal Company. There we go. All right, so we're gonna do some gaming here. All right, we're gonna show how everything works just nice and easy, right? Lethal Company is actually rather, you know, complex. It's not, you know, it's not as lightweight as it seems like it is. So it's a fun game. Okay, so those are the locusts that are there. All right. Well, that's a different level of darkness that I've... Oh, Jimmy Christmas. Wow, that landmine was right there. Okay. Now we got ourselves a flask. Just a flask, really? Wow. Alright, we're good. Find our way out of here. So yeah, that's that. All right, Alt F4. Display configurations. This is pretty simple and self-explanatory. It's just like in Windows, right? We're gonna right-click display configuration. We want a different desktop or wallpaper theming, and we can select. You know, it's fall, so let's go with some autumn, you know, style design. If we go here to settings, we can change and do a dark theme instead of the light theme that we have. So pretty simple there. Let's see, Discord. If we, you know, that's Discover. Meta key works just like the Windows key. You know, there's nothing to really change there. Discord, you can easily, you know, sign into it. If you want to have applications that auto start like you do with Windows, I don't need to sign into Discord right now. Let's see, auto, we just go in here, auto start and add new and application, and we can type in Discord. So this way Discord automatically loads when we come on in. Application, we can do Steam. So this way Steam automatically loads when we come in and log into the computer. Really, it's really easy stuff. It's not that hard. It's just a computer. You just have to find the way that it's designed to do things slightly differently. If for some reason, you know, you want more details, just let me know. Leave it down in the comments. I can do another video. That's what I'm here to do, is to, you know, do videos and show people and teach people the things that I know. I'm not an expert. I'm not, you know, I'm just an idiot with a camera, a microphone, and a computer. So, you know, with the exception of the fact that I've been doing other stuff, in about 35-40 minutes, you can have a completely different operating system. Let me know if you guys need to know anything else. Don't be afraid to dive on into the Rift, and we'll see you guys in the next one.